Assalamu alaikum and good morning everyone. Welcome to this new video about a new and at the same time one of the most important and crucial and demanding type of essays. It is the argumentative essay, or also what is called as persuasive essay. So here I have two terms used to name this pattern of writing: argumentative and persuasive. Now, let's first trace the meaning of these two terms. Argumentative, of course, here it refers to argument. What's an argument? Argument is that proof, that fact, that evidence you should have, right, to back up your point of view. It means in this type of essays, I'm going to express your opinion and back it up, support it, defend it with what? An argument or a set of arguments. They can be, you can say, facts, proofs, or any kind of evidence. Now, on the other hand, I have the term persuasive, from the verb to persuade. It means to convince. So here, as a writer, in this type of essays, the writer is going to what? Convince the reader, persuade him of his point of view. Right? He is required to what? Convince the reader of the point of view. Right? He chooses in his essay. Of course, using the arguments, right, he prepared for his essay. Clear? So, arguments and persuasion. Persuade. It means in this type of essays, we have the writer, or you as a writer, as a student, are going to write an essay about a topic. In this topic, you will what? Support or defend, of course, and choose a point of view of yours to defend, and you will back this point of view by what? By arguments to convince the reader. Clear? You defend the point of view, right, using arguments to convince the reader, right, to agree with you, of course. Clear? Now, that's why if we want to come up with a comprehensive definition, right, of this type of essays, argumentative or persuasive, we can say that it is a kind of academic writing, a pattern of academic writing in which the writer tries to persuade the reader of a particular point of view. It means his point of view that he chooses and decides to adopt and defend within a controversial topic. Clear? Not any kind of topics, but it should be controversial one. Using the appropriate and the strongest arguments. Clear? And also to rebut or to refute the other side's point of view. So this definition, you can say, collects and gathers all, right, the features and the characteristics and the functions the writer should take into account in this type of essays. Let's try to decode it. I have said a kind of academic writing. It means it must be governed by rules. Clear, as usual, of academic writing, in which the writer tries to persuade, to convince, to influence the reader. Clear? To convince, to influence the reader, attract him, right, of a particular point of view. It means here, as a writer, you will try to influence the reader, convince him of that point of view, that position, that stand, that side you have chosen, alright, and you have decided to defend. Clear? It means in a topic, you have a kind of controversy, disagreement, debate, you choose one of the views, clear, and you try to call the reader, invite him to convince, okay, to agree with you, clear. Within a controversial topic, it means the topic of this type of essays should be controversial, clear, debatable. It should bear many sides, at least opposing sides, 2 or more opposing sides, clear, right? Here, this is the nature of argumentative essay and also argumentative topics, clear, those which evoke a kind of debate, controversy, I don't know, disagreement. You choose one of the views and you adopt it, you defend it, you ask the reader to agree with you through what? The appropriate and strongest arguments. Arguments of yours should be collected, should be prepared to defend your opinion with. Clear. Convince the reader of your view thanks to these arguments. Arguments, they are evidence or proofs of yours. They can be facts, reasons, examples, quotes, statistics, real life stories, why not, events, and so on. All these can act as your own arguments. That's why it's recommended that when you want to write this type of essays, to do a research. Before I write about any argumentative or debatable topic, I need to do research to gather what? To gather the arguments I will use to support my point of view, to support my chosen stand, my chosen position, clear, in that topic, clear. And also, in this type of essays, you are required to rebut. It means to refute and to counter and to overthrow the other side's point of view. Clear? You see, here I'm going to present my point of view, defend it using arguments, trying to convince my reader, and also rebut the other side's point of view, the other opposing opinion, the other opposing stand or position. I should, if you can say, refute it. Right. It means find appropriate counter arguments to show that my position, my stand opinion is right and the other side's view is not correct. Clear? To influence, of course, my reader. Right. So here you will defend a position, a point of view over another. One opinion over another. Clear? Because we said the topics here should be controversial. Clear? Not any topic can be appropriate to this type of essays. Right? It means if you are against or, for example, for this view in the topic. Clear? Not against and for. It's either against or for. Example, I have the right to abortion. You choose as a writer whether you are against or for abortion. Then you defend with arguments and you rebut and refute the other view. Also, the right to own guns. Are you against or for? Choose one view and defend it in your essay. Clear. Also, building nuclear reactors. Are you against or for? And also here you defend it. Arguments, and you refute the other view. Clear? Also, topic of taxes, advertisements, internet, online education, and many other topics that can be really juicy matter for this type of argumentative essays or persuasive pattern of writing. Clear? Pattern of writing. Clear? Good. Of course, in your exposition here, of course, when we say in this type of academic writing, are required to be objective, clear, objective, because as you know, argumentative writing, when you gather your arguments, which are facts and reasons and so on, examples, so here you are required to what? Expose these facts as arguments. The arguments themselves are facts. Clear. You have to think about and look for factual arguments, not emotional arguments. Clear. Normally. Alright. Usually. Clear. That's why this type of pattern belongs to expository writing. It means you expose our facts, which are in fact our arguments. Clear. And the aim here is not just to expose them, to inform, no, but to analyze, to you can say convince the reader, right? Not only to expose them, but of informing, to inform plus to convince plus to influence the reader, right? Clear. And also to support our point of view too. Clear. And also we use facts and counter arguments to rebut and to refute and to, you can say, overthrow the claim of the other side's point of view. Clear. Using our, of course, counter arguments. Right. So this is the core of argumentative or persuasive writing. Clear. Good. Of course, this type of also pattern is included under what we call order of importance pattern of organization. Clear. That's why my arguments should be ordered, clear, and organized according to the pattern of order of importance. It means I start from the most important or the strongest argument and come on with the other arguments till the least important or least strong argument, or vice versa. I start with the weakest argument and I move on to gradually gradation to the strongest argument. Just put your arguments in a logical order of importance. Clear? Good. Here also, to order your arguments, you need, like any other type, say to use the appropriate transitions. Clear? Transitions to show the order of the arguments. Clear? For example, here we need to show gradation in supporting your point of view with your arguments. Clear? And also a kind of gradation in countering the other side's arguments. So that's why you need to use the transitions of common order of sequencing, first, second, third, and also transitions which express your arguments, and also the transitions which express your counter or introduce your counter arguments, like however, nonetheless, but in spite of that, here to show the counter arguments. Clear? When you want to rebut or to refute the other side's point of view. Clear? Good. Of course, the arguments should be, you can say, objective facts, reasons, as we before, information, statistics, figures, codes, or any kind of evidence that really, convince the reader. This is a major aim, clear, of your strong stand and of your position, and enables you to influence him, to agree with you, and also to point out to the weakness of the other side's point of view through your counter arguments you will use to rebut or refute the other side's point of view or opinion. Clear? Good. Now, until now, we have spoken about argumentative and persuasive essays as what? As two synonymous terms. And this is really what we will do in our lesson. But in fact, they are two different types of essays. Clear? Normally. Argumentative is a type of essay, and persuasive is a type of essays. But we can say that due to the many common points that they share, we can write outline for them the same structure and the same lesson. Why not? Clear? Good. Now, if you want to find the difference between the two terms and the two types of essays here, in argumentative essay writing, normally this type of argumentative pattern depends on logic, reason, and facts. Clear? And facts. Unlike the persuasive one, it depends on personal opinions, emotions, personal ideas to convince the reader. I think, I believe, and so on. So here, in argumentation, you use facts, reasons, logic. But in persuasion, you use your own opinions, your own views, your own personal, arguments you create in your mind. Clear? Clear? Good. But the argumentation, you should collect facts, statistics, figures, numbers as your evidence. Clear? Unlike in the persuasive essay here, you need to use your own personal ideas or personal views to defend your point of view. Also, in argumentation, the essay, we should discredit the other side's point of view. It means we should here, after producing our opinion and giving our arguments, we should rebut and refute the other side's point of view. It means we speak about our opinion and then we discuss and we rebut the other opinion in argumentative essay. But persuasive one, you are not required always to refer to the other point of view. It means you can just introduce your topic and defend it with your with your arguments. Clear? And you don't need always to refer to the other point of view. Clear? Right. Also, in this, as it is concerned with persuasive writing, with a kind of emotional, emotions as your opinions, things like that. Clear? You should know about the audience and how to influence them. Clear? Influence them. Right. But in the first one, argumentative, you just think about your position and how to provide and back it up and support it with strong arguments, facts, reasons, and so on. Clear? Good. Also, we said before, also, argumentation requires countering the other side's arguments. Clear? You present the other point of view and you counter its arguments too, one by one. Clear? But in the persuasive essay, you don't need also neither to mention the other point of view nor to counter its arguments. Just expose or present or use the arguments of your point of view. Clear? Good. So, but usually I prefer to deal with them as two synonymous terms, as one type of argumentation, because both of them finally, or after all, or at the end, they seek what? They seek to convince the reader of a particular position. Clear? Particular position or point of view, using always arguments. Always arguments. Good. Also, there are three major elements of argumentative and persuasive writing that scholars recommend to take into account. These three elements should be always considered when writing this type of essays and addressing with it your readers. Number one, it is logos. Here it appeals to reason and logic. Logos, logic. Clear. It means what? You should express it by using facts, right, which are presented in the form of logical manner. Clear? Logos means logic, right. Defend your point of view using logic, right, and facts and reasons. Number one. Number two, ethos. From ethics. It appeals to ethics. It means you must convince the reader that your position, right, is right from a particular, or from an ethical point of view, as if you are defending this view out of an ethical principle or an ethical stand, okay, you adopt and you believe in, right, to convince the reader, of course, to agree with you. I am not just defending or speaking with my opinion for the sake of speaking. Now I am backed up by an ethical background, an ethical principle I am seeking and tracing in my writing. Clear? Last principle is pathos. Pathos, pathology, refers here to or appeals to emotions. It means here, even if it is academic writing, even if it is argumentative writing based on facts, on logic, okay, and so on, here you must awaken the reader's sympathy. Try to gain the reader's sympathy and arouse within him those feelings of sympathy, sadness, anger, or any other emotion that you want him to have, okay, to be or to see eye to eye with you, to make your arguments clear, more convincing. Because when the reader is emotionally attractive to you, thanks to your strong arguments, clear, and appropriate evidence, will sympathize with you, and he will side with your with your part and agree with your opinion. And this is the major objective of this type of argumentative writing, to make him agree with your point of view, not just to expose him arguments, make him come with you, clear, see eye to eye with you. Okay, good. How to plan for an argumentative or persuasive essay? Remember that we said before that this pattern of writing is one of the most demanding, don't say complex or difficult, most demanding types of patterns. Why? Because here you need to be ready for writing it by preparing first your outline and preparing first your arguments before you start writing. Clear? It means you have to plan. After you get arguments, you have to plan correctly, right, for how to write your argumentative or persuasive essay. Clear? That's why we need to order the steps of our writing. Clear? Right. And we reach our outline. The first step is, of course, to choose your topic. And we said before that it should be a controversial topic. It means topic which is controversial, debatable, that evokes a kind of, if you can say, disagreement. Right. There are two or more opposing sides within it. More or two, I don't know, opposing views within it. Clear? Right. Now I have prepared my topic. Number two, you must take a stand or position among these stands or these positions or these views in that topic. Are you against or for? You have to decide as a writer whether you will defend, right, the opinion of those who are against this topic or those who are for it. Clear? And don't combine them together. It's either against or for. Clear? Only one point of view to defend. Clear? This is one of the main important features of this type of essays. Clear? Right. Also, after choosing your position, as you are against or for, here you need to do your research to prepare your arguments. And usually we recommend always to prepare 3 or 4 arguments at most. Clear? Arguments mean facts, can be reasons, they can be statistics, quotes, real life stories, examples from different events, and so on. 3 or 4 are enough. Clear? Because as you know, normally you will develop every argument and explain it in a separate paragraph. Clear? 3 paragraphs for 3 separate arguments. Clear? Within 3 separate paragraphs, body paragraphs. Good. Now, after preparing arguments and deciding before it point of view, my position, now I must also prepare what? The counter arguments. Clear? To rebut and to refute. Clear? The other side's point of view. Clear? Because, as you know, in this type of essay, normally I should expose or mention the other point of view and also refute it. Clear? And its arguments. By using my counter arguments, I should also prepare my counter arguments. I will use, clear, normally in one of my body paragraphs. I devote to discuss the other point of view and to rebut its arguments by my counter arguments. Clear? Finally, after preparing my topic, my position, my arguments, counter arguments, it's time to write down my outline. Jot down the outline now. Right. So, outline, of course, normally consists of 3 main parts. Introduction, with its statement. Of course, a body, right, with its arguments within 3 paragraphs, 3. And, for example, fourth one, for counter argument and the other's point of view. Clear? And finally, I have conclusion. Right. Now, let's take an example. An example. My topic, I will choose building nuclear reactors. So this is a controversial topic. It's one of the commonest debatable topics. Right. There are people who say that it's good, others who say it's harmful, it's dangerous. Am I against or for? Number 2, I am against. I will adopt and defend the view which says that building nuclear reactors is dangerous. Clear? Then, my arguments. I need to think and to write down 3 arguments to defend and to back up and support my position or being against an opponent to this view in that topic. So, I would say that building nuclear reactors is risky. Number 2, costly, expensive. Number 3, it's a threat to our environment. So these I will use in my body paragraphs as my 3 major arguments. And of course explain them and detail them, provide with examples and so on. Clear? Now, how about the other point of view? Here I need to prepare its counter arguments. So I will say that there are safer alternatives of energy like renewable energy. Those who say they are good sources of energy for humanity, I will counter the argument or the view by saying that there are many other alternatives which are safer, clear, and also better energy producing, clean energy, like renewable and natural source of energy, clear. And like this, I have prepared my outline, clear. My topic, my position against, my arguments, my counter arguments, clear. And now it's time to write down my outline. This outline, in fact, is based on the basic structure, Because in argumentative essays, listen, we have many styles, many structures, clear, for writing argumentative essays, many of them. But I consider this one as the basic structure of the argumentative essay or persuasive essay. Clear? I have here in this basic structure, I have my introduction, and inside it at the end I have my thesis statement that I am against. Clear? Right. Then body paragraphs. Here I chose to use 3 arguments. So I'm going to devote 3 separate paragraphs in the body. Each one defends or explains or details one of my arguments, which are of course ordered logically. Clear? Right. First paragraph to explain and defend my view defend my view, back up my view, support my view using the first argument with its of course explanation. Second paragraph also I will develop and discuss my second argument to back up my point of view. Third paragraph also I'm going to include in it my third argument, explain it, detail it to back up and support my point of view. Alright, in this third paragraph. Now also in this structure I'm going to add another body paragraph. Clear? Besides 2 paragraphs which discuss my arguments, this other body paragraph is going to what? Expose, I will mention, the other side's point of view, and is going to include the rebuttal, the, if you can say, refuting, right, of this other view using my counter arguments. It means here, after discussing 3 arguments in the 3 separate body paragraphs, the 4th body paragraph will discuss the other side's point of view and will rebut and refute that view using my counter arguments against them. Clear? At the end, of course, I end or close my essay with my conclusion. Of course, usually we state and summarize generally what has been said earlier. Clear? This is generally how to plan for your argumentative or persuasive essay, step by step, logically, gradually, right, and also how to outline it in advance, of course, depending on that basic outline. Clear? Basic outline to write down your argumentative or persuasive essays. Clear? Good.